let's start our little conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So, Calvin, tell me first, just for people who are maybe not using Simplero actively, but they've signed up, tell me how you describe Simplero. What is it as a service?
It's a shop, online shop, complete integrated system for selling things that don't exist, meaning things that don't need to be shipped via the mail. So anything that's electronic or anything that's like a seminar or a service or like maybe it's coaching, anything non-physical in that form you can sell using Simplero. And Simplero does everything that you need from email marketing to like all this selling and charging people and God forbid, refunding money to them or delivering content. Except, of course, it won't actually deliver the coaching if that's what you sell. You'll have to coach people yourself, but
But all
it'll
my info products
all
and
it'll
ebooks and
yeah,
okay.
everything that can be downloaded digitally, Simplero can deliver for you.
Member courses.
Membership sites, yes. So you like give people a login to the site and they can talk to each other and get access to their content there. All that is handles automatically.
Fabulous. So Simplero, simply, is a platform to support online entrepreneurs. I noticed that you do not necessarily use the word info product that much or the word info marketers. Is there a reason?
It's just that um, for the people who self-identify as info marketers, then that's a very clear, well understood term. But for someone who's like really an expert on parenting, for example, or acupuncture, they don't necessarily consider themselves to be info marketers. And there's a lot of kind of stigma around info marketing as well. There's a lot of bad apples, so that have given the whole business a bad name. So it's just not something that I like. I use it sometimes just to for people to self-identify when they already self-identify with that, but it's not a term that I particularly want to push.
Great. So it's a platform for experts to create businesses to sell their knowledge.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
So we have people who are experts on like how to dress or how to do flower decorations or acupuncture and all kinds of things.
Yes, one of my clients, she and I continually go to one of Calvin Simplero clients' pages, Teeny. If you're watching, we love you. We don't know what you're saying, but we don't care because
Yes.
it looks awesome.
This is one of my clients from Denmark. She was actually one of my very first customers. She's still there. I love her dearly. She's a stylist in Denmark, so Lauren doesn't understand a word that she says,
But her
she has
style looks amazing.
crazy big hair.
Yeah.
And did you know that she used to be I think she was the Danish champion of what's that running style where you jump over things?
Hurdling?
Hurdling, yeah.
No
She does it,
way.
yeah. Yes.
Cool.
She does
Good
that
to
too.
know.
Yes.
We like her even more. No, we do. We stalk her website. So speaking briefly about info marketers and just the stigma that goes on in that world, something that's come up in the conversations that Calvin and I have had lately is a term that he calls clean marketing. You
Yes.
should trademark that if it
Yes.
isn't on your trademark.
Yeah.
And
I
Calvin,
bought Conscious Info Marketers as well.
Beautiful.
.com or
Beautiful.
something. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about what you mean by clean marketing. How do you define that and what does it mean to you?
It just means like don't do things that you wouldn't want people to know that you're doing, right?
That's a
Actually,
really, can you repeat that?
yeah, just don't do stuff that you wouldn't want people to know that you're doing,
Beautiful.
or that you wouldn't want to do to your friends, basically. Right?
Beautiful.
Like treat your audience, treat everybody as if they're your great friends, and just be a decent person to everybody.
Great.
Actually, some years ago, I was at a dinner conversation with some friends, and at this time, I was like a like internet marketing guru in Denmark, and I'd learned this like product launch formula, and like where you go through all these steps and you build social proof, and then you get like you do all these things in a particular sequence in order to push these different psychological triggers. It's all this stuff that info marketers do. And I was at this private dinner, someone's birthday, and she was following the product launch of someone else in that business, someone that had learned from me, and I was like, oh, that's so interesting. Yeah, I know exactly what's going on, and the next thing that's going to happen is this. I told her, And she was like, she just went completely blank, and she felt completely defrauded by this process.
Really? Because you could predict what was going to happen.
Yeah, because
Okay.
she was like, oh, it seemed so authentic when he was doing it, and then it was all some like scheme, some ploy to get her to, to behave a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying don't understand these triggers. I mean, there's this classic book by Robert Cialdini, Influence, something about influence. I forget the title exactly.
I don't know
but
that one.
Oh, yeah?
We'll have to look it up and,
Yeah.
and post it.
It's a classic book about like these like 7 different psychological triggers: social proof and commitment and consistency. And I forget what they
Okay.
all are. It's an excellent book, and it's really great to know this stuff, but just don't do it in a way that you wouldn't want to be completely transparent about it to people. Yeah.
Cool. Just a little bit more on clean marketing.
Yeah.
How do you plan to, I mean, because first of all, you have a business that you want to grow that's going to require marketing.
Yeah.
So there's a clean marketing piece that you're going to be following.
Yeah.
And then the second layer, it's kind of meta actually, is that you're helping other people sell their businesses with your product.
Right.
And I assume that you want to help them do it in a clean marketing kind of way.
Yeah.
Tell me what that means for Simplero. What will that look like on your end, and then what will it look like as you empower other business owners to implement Simplero?
Well, again, so it's about like really, making sure that you have a product that you're really proud of, that really works, that really serves, and you making sure that you know why you're doing this. So what's your purpose with this, right? Mm-hmm. Who is it you want to serve? It really cannot be just about making money. Something like that was my modus operandi for so many years, which is why, and it really didn't work for me at all. So I got to this point where I realized, that's just not working. So really have a product, really be out to serve, and then you share your story from a much more natural place of wanting to share your story to serve, and really not necessarily care so much about the individual transaction. Mm-hmm. Like, do I profit on this particular order or customer? Not so important as like how are we doing generally. Like, I'm out to serve people, so some people might not be customers, but if I can serve them in some other way, that's great too. Or like something happens and I feel like, oh, there's a huge miscommunication here, we dropped the ball on something, need to like credit people, I lose money in this transaction, that's fine, because it's in the big scheme of things, things work out. So purpose, great product, tell your story, talk about it, share that story, and very often what happens is that people will naturally want to share, want to spread that story and want to share it, and want it to grow. And really, I think that's another piece that I at least think about, is when this is not happening, instead of like then resorting to the old fear-based push tactics and all that stuff, which I've definitely done in the past, but instead of doing that by default, go back and look at yourself. Like, is there something that that I'm not like aware of, or something that I'm doing that's not really working? Like, am I like at a deeper level, am I constricting the flow in my life at some unconscious level that I can unclench and then get the flow moving again?
Yeah, and that's actually a wonderful place to segue into the differences between Simplero and some of the other platforms out there. And just so you know too, I'm gonna drop the redesign bomb. We're in the process of hashing out what it will look like, what the new Simplero, homepage and user interface, not the back end so much, but what it will look like. Simplero is going to have a different veneer so that it comes into the age of modern clean marketing, and gets sort of the gussied up in a way that really showcases what Simplero is all about, so that people can see that it's really a competitor to Entreport and Office Autopilot and Infusion and Kajabi, and see that there's something here that's not just functionally similar to those platforms, but also there's something that's integral to how the business is run and into how the business is built, and then how the business is marketed, that makes it completely different and a much more transparent and altruistic platform ultimately that has a different purpose here on the planet. So let's go next to your manifesto, and then we'll talk about what makes you different from Entreport et al. Cool? So tell me about what you wrote the other week.
Yeah.
And what prompted it, too?
What prompted it? Well, going back to 2008, I'd been, an entrepreneur basically my whole life. Like as in sixth grade, I wrote my first software that I sold, copies of licenses, and both my parents were programmers, and both my parents were my mom started a software company. My dad bought a company and was like owned that. So I was into that from a very early age. But in 2008, I had like really struggled, really tried to make something that was going to be successful. I was really chasing that success, hoping that someone else could give me that secret sauce to make me successful if I partnered with them, and it wasn't working out. Had taken a coaching education and started down that path, and then in 2008, bought a house, had my second child, stayed a month with my dad, with these two kids and my wife because our house wasn't ready and we had to move out the apartment, and that was not fun. My wife had gone to Tenerife with our kids just to get away from the whole thing, like snow outside, no more heat on the heaters. So it was like I was in that house, everything was in boxes. There was no light. It was freezing cold, and I was like,
oh my goodness,
everything was falling apart around me. I had like the client of that I had for the past 6 years at that point had suddenly given me a call and said, "Hey, we're sorry, we've just done the budgets for 2008, a little late, and we've decided to outsource your piece to India. So no work for you. Everything else that I kind of had lined up, none of it worked out." So I was like, dude, maybe this is the moment, like the universe is trying to tell me something, really. Like I'd never stopped and asked myself, like, what do I actually want to create? What do I actually want to do? I'd never paused to ask that question. And so that night in late February 2008, I sat down. I was like, okay, dude, I'm a coach. I can put together a process. Let me put together this process, ask myself a series of questions to try to figure out what is my purpose? What is it that I really want to create the difference I want to make? And I did that. And suddenly, like halfway through even, it just leapt out of the pages in front of me that what I was here to do was to integrate my spirituality. I'd started with a spiritual teacher coach like about a year before this, and I spoke to every week. So integrate my spiritual side, which I very much inherited from my mom and my aunt, and I grew up with a very deep spiritual core, and the entrepreneurial side, or the business side, which was my dad to me. He was like very not into the whole spiritual world. And so for me, it was like the whole spirituality piece had gotten parked far away from me because in my experience growing up, that was unsafe. Like my mom would hide it. She would like whenever the shit hit the fan, it was always my dad who came and saved the day with his like down to earth, really basic like let's whatever I need is. Yeah.
Interesting.
And so really seeing that my job was to really integrate the two and figure out to take the best from my dad, and the best from my mom, and like bring wholeness into it. And like once that landed, I was like, dude, this is amazing. And like so it's like if I align with the flow of life through me and find that particular role for me in the world, and like everybody else does that, it's like we're gonna create this massive flow of love and purpose and productivity, right?
Yeah.
How do you increase the productivity of any individual? You do that by really aligning them with their purpose and that flow of life through them, and they're most satisfied and most productive. So how can we do this for the whole nation? And how do we do this for the whole world where everybody thinks this way? And I was like, dude, if you're an investor, then you want to invest in a business where people think this way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where the founders are like, this is my life purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're, as a founder, if you're like, this is the purpose of my life, I'm not going to quit this, right? When it gets tough, I'm not going to give up. I'm just going to find different ways to make this happen. So like, and plus the other side is like this piece where I really like make myself a vehicle in service of my purpose, in service of the business that I'm trying to create.
Mm-hmm.
So always asking myself the question, what do I need? Basically, like, our ego is great thing, but our ego also tends to get in the way of the creative process, of the natural
Sure.
flow of life. And so what do I need to let go of, or where do I need to what do I need to like see with more clarity? What do I need to loosen my grip on in order to be better in service of this business that I'm trying to create? And even more so, actually, this is very much inspired actually by Elizabeth Gilbert, from who wrote Eat, Pray, Love. If you've seen her TED Talk, have you seen that?
I haven't.
It's amazing. She talks about like when you're writing a book, and like write a bestseller like she did, people tend to tell you, "Wow, you're a genius," and how are you ever going to top that?
Yeah, of course.
And when she said, well, what if we go back to the old Greeks and say, because in their terminology, it's not that you are a genius, it's that you have a genius, and the genius is your muse. It's outside of you, and what you're doing is you're actually channeling that. So she tells a lot of stories about Tom Waits and others who are like, poets and other people who have expressed this feeling of like, poets writing themselves through them. And so I was like, that's exactly what my experience has been with business as well. Like the business is actually I believe really that a business has a soul. Like there is a soul out there that is separate from me and separate from my soul, and that I'm in service of, and I'm serving it by choosing to manifest it into the world. And the more in touch and in tune I am with what that business is and what it wants to be, the easier it's going to be, and the better it's going to work out. And like when I first try to get from software consulting into product creation, this idea, like trying to create a product or a business from like purely rational mind doesn't really work very well, right? Because you're like, or this or that. It's like it's not how it works. You gotta get in touch with what the essence of this business is at a much deeper level, at an intuitive level, and then from that you can put like structures and like use your ego and your rational mind to make it kind of function and give it the scaffolding and stuff. But if there's no life there, it's just if there's no soul, it's just these pieces.
Yeah, that's really wonderful. So tell me how you plan to incorporate that philosophy into Simplero and into essentially fostering an entire community of people who can then turn around and do the same thing. Come from purpose, come from gut level soul purpose to achieve what it is that they are taking from the muse and delivering back out into the world. How is that going to look with Simplero in the coming year?
So, well, first of all, I really believe that when I come, the more clear I am about the intentions when I create this with my team, with like everything all the work that we put into it, I think that emanates, that radiates from the product itself, and I think that
and it attracts a specific kind of person, an entrepreneur,
and it influences people in a certain way without anyone being consciously aware of this necessarily. So from that alone, that's making a difference. I think that's a huge thing that everybody as entrepreneurs can do and think about when we create these products, is that like it's kind of like you take this product and you send it off with a kiss, or like you send it off with this vibe of love, and it that really makes a difference in how it affects people more than functionally. But more than that, I really want to take as a business that we take much more ownership of our customer success. And that's not the exact phrase I would use because I'm a big believer in each one of us taking ownership over our
Sure.
lives, and I don't think I'm serving my customers by taking ownership over something that really belongs to my customers, but that we take on the role of really serving our customers um, in their quest to live their purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So through one of my dreams is to make Simplero this combination of software and training information
Mm-hmm.
and coaching. So really bring the two together. Like I started out being a marketing expert in Denmark before while I was building this. So we have all that information, but really integrated into the experience. So we really take people by the hand when they're like, I'm just an expert on yoga. I don't really know that much about how to make a business or online or offline for that matter. So we really take people way more by the hand and help them through
Cool.
that process and with help them connect with their why, their goal, their purpose, and think through how they can serve, and then like down to the really practical
Cool.
clean marketing tactics and strategies.
Awesome. So what you're saying is that in the near future, Simplero will also have more of an educational component for subscribers
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
will help them be successful and
Yes.
live their purpose.
Yes. Yeah.
Great.
And really take like make sure that everything I want to integrate something like your website. Right now, you'd have to have a WordPress website or some other website out there, and I think we can do something that serves even better because we can design some beautiful website templates and like but also templates for like the structure, the about page, the different pages that you have on your site that are specifically designed for this type of business,
Mhm.
right? Because we understand this business, so we can have the website there with some example language that you can use for your different pages. So it's more you fill it out, and we guide you through that process, and all the way through to your products and how you market them, like emails, like ideas for what you can write, a tutorial calendar, all these things that we know that you want to do when you have a business like this.
Great. That's exciting.
Yes, it is.
Excellent. So I do want to hit on, just because it's Fat Tuesday.
It is?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
It's Shrove Tuesday. That means that, so Lent begins tomorrow. Lent is a Christian, it's not really a holiday, but it's a period of time of 40 days before Easter. And yeah, so it's a 40-day period of time where a lot of people give up like negative food habits. I think because it's a peer-friendly way to diet, is my opinion.
I didn't even know that.
In the Christian tradition, yeah, a lot of people will be like, oh, I'm giving up chocolate for Lent, or I'm giving up soda for Lent, or I'm giving up candy or
I
cupcakes
wonder
for
if
Lent.
that, I'm from a Protestant country. I wonder if that makes a difference.
It's definitely much more in a Catholic
Yeah.
world, but I grew up Protestant too, and certainly a lot of Presbyterians in the South give up something for Lent. Again, I think it's a thinly disguised foil for weight loss. However, not to minimize the day, it's also Fat Tuesday, which is the day that everybody goes out and parties and eats lots of pancakes before giving up whatever it is you're giving up.
Okay.
So anyway, it's Fat Tuesday. Everybody gets their little religious lesson, Sunday school. But a lot of people use it too as a time of reflection and spiritual inquiry, regardless of faith. Because 40 days, there are a lot of wonderful symbolic meanings behind that number. And I don't know how I got on that. It's Fat Tuesday, and it's the day before Marie Forleo's B School closes.
All right.
So, do you want to tell us a little bit about why you're offering a B School tie-in for Simplero?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I'm a happy B School customer myself. So in this whole internet marketing world, I've seen a ton of products, and B School is by and far the best, cleanest, nicest, most, well done. The energy that she comes from is beautiful. Everything about it is just really, 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 really sweet, and really well done. And I like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm very impressed. Actually, at a point where I had a personal crisis of faith, kind of in the whole internet marketing world, she
Mm-hmm.
helped restore that. I was
Right.
like, wow, great! Someone it is actually possible to create a business like that where you're really coming from a place of service, and you do it with. I care about things being beautiful, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
beauty to me is part of this whole, like, the spirit that is behind it. It really matters. And the things that she does are beautifully done, both
Yeah.
in terms of how they look, but also in terms of how they're thought through. So I'm an affiliate now, and like the whole affiliate program is just really well thought out and really beautifully done. So in terms of internet marketing courses, you basically can't. I have not seen anything better than that.
Okay.
In that category, in that space. So and like, I know that, my customers, because I don't have a whole lot of training for people right now, with Simplero. So this is a great way for me to say, well, B School is already there, and it's great, and there's this awesome community. And so if you put the two together, Simplero has everything that you need from a technology standpoint. Save at this moment your website, which you still need somewhere, but those are easy to get. Simplero does everything else that you need in order to actually take what you learn in B School and put together an online business. And like, um, I have a ton of customers already that are B Schoolers, and so there's a great community of like Simplero/B School users. Um, the other way, B School/Simplero users,
Mm-hmm.
already that you can get to join. So, and I just, excuse me, I know that what she teaches really works, and it really helps you create your business, and that's good for me, because like, the more successful you are, the more successful I am, the better I feel about what I do. And so putting the two together, like, most of the bonuses out there are extra content, like,
Right.
and
That's a really good point.
you already get tons of content with the B
For
School,
sure.
and you're going to be plenty busy consuming that and going through all the exercises, because there's a ton of exercises,
Yeah.
and they take a lot of time and effort to do, but they're really worth it. And so I'm just saying, put that together with Simplero, and you just know that we have your back, and that everything that you need for your business, we're there to help you with, and you've got everything that you need to go and create a really, really nice, profitable, happy business from this, serving people, serving the world.
Beautiful. And I'm a big fan of implementation. I think a lot of us in this space can get sucked into overconsumption of content. And, for some people, B School can feel like a fire hose. But when you have a tool like Simplero right there, ready to roll, and that can help you implement quickly, so you're not trying to decide, oh, do I need this plugin, or do I want that email, or do I want this person to handle my WordPress site, and do I have to go get Kajabi to host my videos, and this and that. Like, you don't have to make all those decisions, because it's a lot, and you can get into freeze mode after
Yeah.
having consumed all that content,
Right.
as you start trying to make those choices. And to me, Simplero makes things super simple. It's just
Right.
about, well, simplifying, and it helps you implement much more quickly than if you were trying to reinvent the wheel and figure all this out for yourself. So,
It's actually a great point. My brother introduced me to this book called Willpower.
oh
It has a
yeah,
whole chapter about decision making, and how much, like, how much willpower it really requires to make decisions. So by removing all of those decision points about, like, should I use this or that or the other, or like put them together like
yeah,
this or
and
that,
PayPal, pay
and just be like,
buttons, and
yeah,
yeah,
and just go with Simplero. You have all this extra willpower to make decisions about things that are way more important, such as, like, how can I really truly best serve my customers?
mm-hmm.
How can I make this really fun and interesting and engaging for people, so it spreads, and like all these other things that are way more important than, where do I put my yeah, PayPal button, or like
Who can customize it for me? Yeah,
exactly. So yeah,
that's a very good point.
and it's also an example of what we talked about before, about like each individual transaction. So I don't necessarily like compared to if you were to buy B School from someone else, and then like buy Simplero separately. I don't like, this doesn't offering the bonus actually doesn't it's not something that I make money on in and of itself.
Right.
But that's not really my concern, is because I know that I have, as of yet, never lost a customer to some other solution after they've actually,
Really?
not that I'm aware of, after they've gotten a business going. I've lost customers who never got started.
Right.
And
That's an amazing statistic. I love it.
yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna use that.
But I've never lost someone who said, you know what, I'd rather
go use Infusion.
Yeah.
Or something.
So
That's good to know.
I know that, like, and like, so once you get you get in there and you get your business going, like, we're gonna have a great business relationship for a long time. So I'm like, that's fine,
Yeah.
but I don't like necessarily profit off of this
And
right
a
away.
lot of your like long-term customers at Simplero are doing really well.
Yeah.
Really well.
Yes.
Like really well. So
Yeah.
that's exciting. That's cool that you don't have any attrition really.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you really want to share today with this audience?
The biggest takeaway for me in my business life, like from 6th grade really till today, has been like, every time I've gotten into this point, struggle mode, there's always been something to remind me that, like, the answer has always been about self-love and self-acceptance for me. That has been my experience every single time. Just yesterday, I was at, like, I forget, like, Sunday, for some reason, I've suddenly felt called to check out this, what's called Alexander technique. I knew zero about it. I've heard the name many times before. I don't know anything about what it's about. And so Sunday, decided to Google Alexander technique NYC, found some, sign up for a session, was there yesterday. Like, I like to act on things. So went there, and that was just another reminder of how, like, when we can habitually enter into this mode of contracting our vertebrae and like our neck. Bless you. Bless you. And like, we get into these unconscious habits of that are really coming out of fear and contraction and constriction. And so, like, the more that we can be aware of that and consciously choose something else, choose love, choose to expand, choose trust, the easier life becomes. So whenever we feel this urge to work harder, push harder, do something that we know may not be, but hey, everybody else is doing it. Whenever we feel that urge, just pause, breathe, relax your body. The importance of the body in all of this is something that I've learned too. Is like, I used to be this type of person where my body is here as the like the vehicle to transport my brain around, because it's really all about my brain. That was my type. I've been sitting at a computer like this from I was like 5 years old or something. And so really learning to to expand the body, it's so critically important.
Because we can't be clear channels for our muse unless our bodies are ready to roll.
And like, the body is just this, like, we can do all this stuff up up here, and it doesn't, like, this is really the massive. If you think of yourself as like a radio antenna or something that beams out signals of, like, your vibration, and like the world responds to that vibration, then whatever happens up in our heads is like a tiny portion of it, and what we embody with our bodies, what happens in our bodies, is like the majority of this. So really need to get that flow going.
Cool. Thank you. I think that's a great place to wrap up for today. You guys, thank you so much for joining us. We were excited to share. I know I wanted to grill Calvin a little bit. I get to hear a lot of his big picture vision in sessions, and it's really inspiring. And I'm really excited to see where Simplero goes as a platform. I think that it's perfectly poised to support a massive sea change in the world of internet marketing specifically, and then in the greater purpose of purpose, serving the expansion of purpose in our world. So that is really fun, and it's awesome that we can use, well, that Calvin can use, I'll take myself out of that picture, that Calvin can use technology to do that, and his team is growing and expanding, and it's really cool to see his vision come to life. So thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you.
There were a couple of resources that were mentioned during our chat. We'll make sure that we have links to those in some descriptions. This video is going to kick over to YouTube, and Calvin will definitely send out a link to that. Again, I'm Lauren Fritsch, and I had the pleasure of having Calvin Correli with me today. And go check out Simplero if you're a signed up but not yet making use of it, because technology can change the world.
It is.
It is changing the world.
Very much. Yes.
Cool.
Right.
And I might
Thank
do
you.
another broadcast from South by. We'll see, from Texas later this week.
All right.
So I don't know. We'll see about it. All right. Peace.
Bye.
Thank you.